And so welcome everybody to this webinar. It is a delight for all of you to be here. And before we start with more with the official part, it's a great honor, Chief Brother Phil, if you could start with a prayer, and then I'll introduce everybody here.
Okay. Otun Kashla Wakantanka, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate one, ever forgiving one. We call upon your holy power at this time that we might awaken to the reality that we have passed into runaway climate change, and that we must awaken as with one heart and one mind and many bodies, with the unity of one human family, the understanding the hurt of one is hurt of all, and begin to prepare what's before us. We ask and give respect to all that have joined us today, from the east from where comes the red sunrise, to the south from where high noon is, to the west from where comes darkness and thunder, lightning and rain, and to the north from where comes the white snow, and Father Sky, Mother Earth, and well, the sacred beings that we are, sovereignties ancient and perishable and everlasting. And just give thanksgiving for all the work that went in at Alus to organizing this, and give thanksgiving to each and every one of the relatives who are joining us now. Hauli Michante Washtelo, Shukmano Hemeyodo, Chinupasapa Hemeyodo, Hauli Michante Washte. I hope that we're coming together now to really talk about how all of us, each and every one of us, has gone through this colonization process really since almost the beginning of time. And so now is the time, and I think this really, in the long run, this is going to be strange, in the long run, these challenges of climate change, how so beautifully shared by Brother Rex in terms of, we just simply are destroying our habitat just like wolves when they overhunt. And I think that without this challenge, I don't think that the human family would probably be looking inside and beginning to understand how we have to come together. And I'm sorry that that's the way it seems it has to be, but that's what appears that's happening. So I just want to thank everybody so far. I just want to listen some more. I know we have some wonderful presentations.
Thanks very much, brother. So I'd love to ask Connie Baxter Marlowe and Andrew Cameron Bailey if they could share with us a little bit about their perspective and add their voices of wisdom to this conversation.
Hello, everybody.
Hello there. It's a
Hello.
pleasure to be here with many of you we don't know, and many of you we've seen recently in Toronto at the Convergence and at the Parliament of World Religions. We've seen you at Tribalize. We're aware of others of you. Alexander, I'm reading your dad's amazing book right now, Intelligence of the Cosmos, because this is a spiritual challenge as well as a physical challenge, this issue of climate change.
Yes, and we only have a very few minutes, so I'll bring a little bit of what my vision and knowing is, and then Andrew will bring some concrete solutions that he's come up with. But from my perspective, and I'll echo what Phil just said, and that is that this climate crisis is a crisis that's breaking the heart open. The love of Mother Earth is catalyzing us into our hearts and into our love for all of creation. And to me, that's the purpose of this climate change. And the only way out is up. We've written a book called The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. That's a quantum science, indigenous cosmology synthesis that shows us that different frequencies have different laws, and that this game that's based on scarcity thinking, old understanding of the nature of the universe is erroneous and has us in a low frequency. And the only way out is to move to a higher frequency where all the SDGs of the UN, everything everyone ever desired, are givens. We just can't get there from here, given our core assumptions about the nature of the universe, how the universe actually works. And I've spent extensive time with visionary elders, including Brother Phil here many, many years ago, and many others who've come into my life to show me these missing pieces of our paradigm, that we are operating on erroneous assumptions about the nature of the universe that keep us stuck in a lower frequency. And fixing the problems in the lower frequency, to me, is not what it's about. It's about going inside, connecting with our hearts, connecting with our brothers and sisters, am I still there? Yeah. The all of creation, that the indigenous peoples have lived and known forever. And now our hearts are opening and our minds are opening to the indigenous people, because they're the caretakers of the earth. And we're in a crisis of the earth. It's our love of the earth that's just saying to, hey, indigenous people, what have you got to bring to this party? And the 16 principles of Brother Phil's are brilliant. Now we just have to move into living them. And the treaty that they've done, I mean, there's just been so much concrete work done by your people, by the Phil and you, Analos, and everyone who's gotten this far. And I think we just have something to bring to this party, and that is that we need to go to our core assumptions about the nature of the universe. How does it work? And what we're bringing is that there is, in fact, only love. And so it's a whole construct that we're bringing on the nature of the universe that resolves many of the paradoxes that has us see things as not love, that keep us from walking into our hearts and aligning with our intuition, watching the signs of the universe, telling us what to do. So I'm just kind of jamming in a whole bunch of thoughts into a very short period of time. I'd love to have an opportunity to go further. Please have a look at our book, and there's a party going on. We're all invited. We're just not there. And that party is more abundance than we can fathom, more joy, beauty, balance, the true human nature, the true human heart coming to play. All of creation is awaiting the love in the human heart, and the climate crisis is catalyzing that opening of the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. So, as I said, this is both a spiritual challenge. Connie and I co-authored this book, The Trust Frequency. You can find it online. People seem to get an awful lot out of it. It lays out, it's about waking up. And the Trust Frequency book is about how to do that. How do we wake up? Then we have to grow up. People have epiphanies and so on, and still do not know how to behave as an adult human being. In fact, our species behaves much like an adolescent, especially the country of my relocation to the United States is truly adolescent in its current behavior, and there's serious danger in that. So we are a very endangered species right now. Honestly, this is the most dangerous time I'm aware of in all of human history. That's a big deal. Climate change is, the climate threat is an enormous challenge, and there are many, many others, as I know you know. So the climate challenge. I no longer use the term climate change. I no longer use the term global warming. I use the term climate restoration, because the fact is that we can wake up, grow up, show up, clean up, put our boots on. Cleanup is a big part of it, and restore the climate to the state it was in before the Industrial Revolution. Now that sounds crazy. That was 300 years ago. I was born in England, and it was my people who introduced the Industrial Revolution to the rest of the world. And now we're seeing the unintended consequences of that. So purely on the venture or the challenge of restoring climate, what do we do? Well, let's look at the problem. The problem appears to be 1 trillion tons of excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Back in our great-great-grandfather's day, we had about 300 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. Right now we are running about 410, and that's at the top of Mauna Loa in Hawaii, where the air is exceedingly pure. If you're in somewhere like New Delhi or Cairo, you're probably in the region of 450 to even 600 parts per million. And at that point, you're in trouble. And these incredibly polluted cities that have resulted from the burning, mostly from the burning of fossil fuel, have put us in a situation, and the situation is dire. As Rex said earlier on, we've known about it for 100 years. Even Ronald Reagan, that marvelous American president, even Mr. Reagan said we have to do something about climate change. Now we have a president, if I may call him such, who doesn't seem to believe that. In fact, he's moving as fast as he can in the opposite direction. To me, that's almost like a declaration of war, climate war on my grandchildren. I take that personally. So I'm working for 4 little people, none of whom is over the age of 10. My training was as a chemical engineer, and looking at too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that's a chemistry question. It's a chemical engineering question. And the chemistry in the solution, and I'm going to speak about solutions. I have, as a chemical engineer, I've been attending conferences, looking for solutions, not seeing them, and realizing that I had better wake up and show up and see if I can't get a proposal crafted, which is what I've done. It's right here. So I moved to the US from South Africa, where I grew up back in 1969, and over here I became a designer builder, and currently I'm designing and building a system that extracts CO2 from the atmosphere and provides multiple benefits to the community within which it is installed, this building. Here's the building. That's one view of it. Here's a cross section. Can you all see it? Hopefully. And we start with agriculture. We have a regenerative agriculture component that literally eliminates Monsanto, eliminates chemical agriculture in its totality, and this is based on an American invention patented back in the mid-90s that literally hits the reset button on agriculture. You will, if you look at that email I sent you today, you will find out about the agricultural
And it's on your website too.
And it's very much on the website. Forming in the process of launching a company called Sacred Earth Enterprises, because this is a sacred duty to rescue this sacred planet of ours for the sake of future generations. Not just to the 7th generation, by the way, good people. 7 generations is how many years? 150 years? 160 years? I think we need to go to 7 times 7 generations. I want to see this planet remain a paradise for the next 100,000 years, and why put a limit on it? 7 generations ain't enough, girl.
Your website, his website is sacredearthenterprises.us.
Okay, you can go there. So we actually solve the agricultural problem, which contributes roughly 50% of the greenhouse gases that are causing the problem. We also solve the energy issue, and you won't know about this until next February when a newly patented process is released to the public, but we now have something that gets beyond coal, gets beyond oil, gets beyond gas, and gets beyond nuclear energy in the generation of electricity. It's absolutely huge. It's called HERO, H-E-R-O. That's an acronym, and you will be hearing about that very, very shortly. And that is integrated into the building I just showed you a picture of. And what the building does, it's a giant air filter. It literally, if you live in New Delhi, for example, and the air is toxic, you enter the building and you are now in a clean, filtered atmosphere. So if you live or work or function in this building, you are not threatened with the health challenges that you have if you're outside. Secondly, it extracts the CO2 from the atmosphere. Part of what it does with that CO2 is to feed it into a greenhouse and vertical farm system that turns a lot of that CO2 into green leafy material that's good for humans and animals to eat. Secondly, we capture the carbon and turn it. Somebody talked about concrete solutions. We literally can turn carbon dioxide in the atmosphere into concrete and build from the CO2 in the atmosphere. There's a company called Blue Planet in Silicon Valley right now that is doing that. And we provide a whole series of other benefits to humanity. It's very interesting. Personally, this is a huge challenge, and just to feel that one can actually have a vision of rising to the challenge is just plain exciting. What keeps me awake at night is the excitement of being involved in this extraordinary project, and I look forward to collaborating and conversing with any of you who would like to be in touch. Thank you.